Hello everyone, this is Rosemary, and this is the third in the series of using business envelopes or business reply envelopes to making them into inserts or envelopes. So here we go again. This was my first one, and I've made several of these and I've had technical difficulties. And if you watched number 2, this is as far as I got before I had to, my memory ran out. So I'm going to do a little bit of reviewing on this. So again, let's see if I can have any of these envelopes still left. Okay, because this is actually my third take. So here we go. These are the business reply envelopes, and what we're going to do in this video is not only cut the window that you see right here, but I'm just going to do a quick review over changing these into envelopes that you can still use, because that's what this is right here. It's an envelope that can also be an insert. So in number 2, I talk about folding the envelope, and then I cut a slit right here, and then when you turn it over, you notice this is like square edged. Say I want to give it a little curl, I match fold to fold, and when I'm talking fold to fold, at the very top of the flap, and then I just cut around the edges to give it a more rounded effect. And there you can see right there. So this is where I kind of left off, and I say kind of because I was actually cutting and gluing. So let me kind of review what I did. This was the one before my, I don't know what happened with it, but I measure ahead of time, and this was 5/8. That means from this edge to this little flap here, it's 5/8. And then I measured from this edge to right here, this part of the window, and it was 1 3/4 inches. Now, this is what we're going to cut right now. And of course, my vision was to continue with green, but when you keep redoing these, you kind of run out of paper, or at least I did. So here we go. Let's try this one. All right, I kind of have my paper pre-cut because I only have 45 minutes of memory. Now, when I measured this, and by the way, you notice this is going to be a little bit different, and you're wondering, why is the window so big? This is the outside of the bill. You can see Chase sent us some mail, and this has a bigger window. I am going to go back to the envelope style, but because I've cut up all my samples right now, we're going to do this. And what I do is simply measure from here to here. This is 1 inch. And you notice I wrote that down because I don't want to forget. And from the edge of it to here is 1 3/4. What's this? Is it? Nope, it's 1 3/4. Why did I write 1 5/8? Now, I like to write this information down because you forget. When you're working on this, you forget. So let me measure it. And you see it's 2, not 5/8, but 2 3/4. Okay, so this is helpful for me, so I write everything down because I was doing one and I had to keep remeasuring and remeasuring. So, what do I do from here? Well, and I'm dropping all kinds of my paper here. I get out my cutter, and here it's ready. And this one, it doesn't go all the way down. You notice that? And I kind of purposely do that. I just kind of do, so it has a little bit of overlap. Now, the first cut has to be at 1 inch. So I get my cutter, and I measured at 1 inch. And you notice how I kind of moved it to this line right there. I moved it up a little bit so it's not at the very edge. I'm using that edge because I like to have from the top edge down an inch. It gives it more support. So this is why I cut up to 1 inch. So I use my cutter to measure, and it said 1 inch. So let me go up. Oops, moved it. And you see how I lined up this edge right here to 1 inch. Okay, so I'm gonna, and I have it 1 inch here, and I come straight down just from there. Then I look at my next 2 3/4. So I line up my paper right there, and then I go 2 3/4, and I'm gonna line it up so I can have an inch. So let me line it up, and it's worth this extra time you notice I'm taking, and I bring it up to 1 inch, and I come straight down. Then what I do is the flap, I fold the flap up just like I am doing right there. Oops, I don't know if I was in frame. So you see, I just folded it up, and I'm working around the camera frame, camera stand, and then I'm just gonna cut straight across like this. And let's hope, I always cross my fingers that everything is gonna be okay. And there you see it, it's right there. It fit. It's almost like a sure shot of making it work. Now, then, see if my glue will cooperate. You just simply, you see me, I like to use liquid glue because it allows you, gives you a little bit of time to reposition itself. You can reposition it if you need to. Everybody has their glue preferences. This is what I just use. So then I am going to match the corners, and then I'm going to, as you can see, after I've matched the corners, make sure the window is all the way through, and there you go. Your window is there. Now this is the outside of a bill, and I like it because the window is much bigger. So let me go back to what I started with before this went out. So here we go on these. Now, this was mine right here, and of course everything, you know, something fell. Well, it was the original envelope here. So what I'm going to do, and you saw this time, and you have to almost take every envelope. They're not going to be standard measurements. Now this is the business reply one. So, and the windows are much smaller. So you're going to have to decide, do you want a big window? Then you have to use the outside of the envelopes. Just when you receive your mail, cut it very carefully at the edge. And you can see, put some glue down, and then, and if you do this kind of measuring and use liquid glue, it allows you to reposition. You notice I'm kind of repositioning that little strip a little bit to make the coverage complete. Right there and right there. Now, this business reply is going to be an envelope right here. So I usually go like this to make sure the window is going to be able, you're going to be able to open it. It's not going to get glued closed. Because this window, this, like I said, here you can see where I really just carefully cut open this, and I'm going to be able to glue it shut. And then once this dries, I will cut a slit up here at the top. This is going to be simply an insert. It's not going to be an envelope, though there is a way of making it into an envelope if you wanted to, but I'm not going to do it in this tutorial. So, let me reach for my materials here. Now, This right here, one of the things that makes this kind of fun is putting something in. And I did some thinking about this, and what's going to be peeking out is going to be this little penguin. Now, you have to look for these really thin cards, and I will tell you, I took out a little bit off, a 1/4 inch off of this, and it kind of works. So when you open it, you can see how I kind of cut a little bit off of there. So I have, you know, if you have a stash of cards or you have journaling cards, it's always kind of fun if something is peeking out. So here we go. This is going to have, let's see, is this the one? Yes. Then I'm just going to glue this right here. I think I'm going to turn it around. You notice right here, this, I know I'm going to cover that up. So all I'm going to do is put my my glue in. My signature is my dog's growling or some kind of noise. And I'm going to put it like this. And then when I open it, it's going to go like this. Right there. So this is what you can see the window. So let me do it again. And I'm going to go back to one of them that I started. Now you see, this is where we left off. I had this one that I was working on. So, because this is going to be a pocket, I've added the hinges already. So let me glue, and the hinges, as I've explained, are simply an inch paper folded in half. Now I'm going to put hinges because I'm going to be putting tags in here, and I want to make sure that the tags have enough room. So there you see it right there. Now you might say to yourself, oh, that pocket is kind of high. What I can do, and I should have talked about this, is I'm going to cut a 1/4 inch off in spite of the glue. So let me cut a 1/4 inch off here, and ooh, yuck. Even though I'm not in frame, I'm going to cut it, and I did most of the cutting right there. Let me cut that, and then you notice just taking a 1/4 inch down, I think I find it a little bit more attractive. So that is something you can do after you've glued. Now, sometimes what I like to do at this stage, I like to put some little strips here to give it the window a little bit more definition. So let's see, this one looks like it's already the right size. So this is just to add some fun, and because I can do green, or I can do, I'm going to do green because we already have red here. So I'm just going to glue this. This also gives the window a little support. Right there, you see, am I in frame? And you can do this or leave this part out. It really is up to you. And let me do some measuring here. Okay, and do a quick little trim. Let's see if I can get it enough so I just cut right there. And I'm going to glue it. And let's see, this little small one, this is actually going to reinforce the top a little bit, because if you sometimes go a little bit over. So let's see if I can just eyeball it by like this. Not very good, but because we're in camera, let's hope it's just big enough. And maybe just right. So let me glue that. Now you see I've framed the window. This is what you were seeing here. The frame, oops, let me just move it a little bit down. Double check. And of course I put my hand right here because I want to make sure I'm not gluing the envelope down. This is what you're seeing right around this edge, and that little frame gives a lot of definition to your window. So that's this. Now what's next? Okay, I'm going to, because this is going to be an envelope, I'm going to be covering the back. This is going to be the material or the paper I'm going to use. And if you saw a template or video number 2, I make a template. And this is usually about 6, and I make a template for my window or for the back of my envelope, because that way I don't have to be rethinking it all the time. So there's my template, and all I do is draw a line like this, and I'm going to cut along that line, as you can see right there. Again, then we're going to glue, and I'm going to make sure I have enough glue around this edge. This edge is pretty important because it's going to have, if it's an envelope, it's going to have a lot of wear and tear on this side. So you notice I had plenty of glue. Also, I'm going to be reshaping probably this up here. So you notice how this right here is now getting closer to an envelope. Let me bring that down. Now this, I kind of like it like this in white for right now, but you can change, you can add some more, get some more paper and simply trace it. You can line the envelope, and I went through that in number 2. Now, what am I going to do with this? This one, I found a card, and you can see this is the card. And if you want to put, this is actually a Christmas card. Let me put it in so you can see. I think this is the one I use. Yeah, let me just open it a little bit more. Can you see how that snowman is peeking through here? It's not perfect, but it's just a little hint of how he's peeking in through that. This is what kind of makes it a little bit special. Now you're wondering about this right here. This is where I'm going to be doing some trimming, but I don't want to trim quite yet. I'm letting it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, and I'm not really embellishing. Some of you can probably embellish a lot more on this. I have this. Right there, and I'm going to pry at this poor little snowman. I'm going to cut a little bit off of him, but you know, as I went through in my other one, if your measurements are not perfect, sometimes this is when I like to glue them down and then go back and do the trimming. I find I can get a little bit better coverage without too much work. And then, of course, get out your distress ink. And let's see, I know I had, because I had a couple of tags here, and right now, because I glued a little bit too soon on here, I'm going to pull out my card, and it's back here that it's sticking more than anything. So let me pull that out. And again, don't be afraid to trim your cards. And like I said, I glued it down, and it's a little bit too precise. But in any case, come on. Where did it get stuck? It's stuck right in here, and I don't know how. And this is why you keep working with them, because I don't know if it's because of how these business envelopes are designed, if it leaks through. That's what basically was happening there. And of course you get your tags in there. Oops, let me see, because in my rush there, I'm moving this a little bit Oh, I see. This is where it stuck right in here. So I kind of ripped it. So don't rush the process as much as I'm rushing it right here. And I guess I'm going to have to just put a little snowflake right there. And it's going to have a tag. I'm going to come back to this one, and I'm going to put this in. But as you're looking at it, you can see it's decorated. It's an envelope. And like I said, I'm probably going to put a little snowflake there. And this, you can actually put a card. Now I can also trim right here, which is necessary. And because it was a little snug, I might trim at the bottom. And I might trim all the red off and then put a little lace on this. So we'll see, but I'm going to let it dry. But this is how you can customize your Christmas cards on this. But you do have to see what you're working with. You do have to do some measuring. So again, most of these business reply envelopes are about 4 inches wide. Okay, so there you see this one complete. Now, this is not just a Christmas activity. This also can be an autumn. And I'm going to do this one more time, especially the cutting. Now, I had a piece of scrap paper, not this big piece. And it doesn't quite cover it all the way around. So you can see I did some distress ink. And I went through that measuring from here to that first little line there. And by the way, this is one of those business reply. This is the actual envelope. This is not a business reply. And I have it because I have a really big window. It's much like the very first one. So, and then the second cut is 2 3/4. Now I'm going to hopefully have enough memory to take you all the way on this one also. Now I'm going to be cutting, and if you want a measurement, I usually cut about so it is about 5 inches high. Okay, and then I always measure again, but I know there's people that want measurements, 5 inches. And this is a little bit taller than, this is about 6.5, maybe 7, 6.5 inches. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is, you see the measurements? And you see, this is really nice when you have a whole series of them. It's 3/4. So let's see, I'm going to line 3/4, and I want to have an inch. Everybody knows that inch, and you can see how it's just, it makes it a lot easier. And you come down. The second measurement is 2.5. So let me go to 2.5, and then I want it at an inch. Oops, kind of move it once I get it just right. And you notice I lined it up at an inch. Then I'm going to fold it up, and this is just a way of measuring it. Oh, this was the other thing. Talk about, I was wondering what happened to this. This is, I bought these gift tags at Tuesday morning, and I made them into a little book. And this is what I was looking, this was the other tag that it's supposed to go into this one. So you can see how quickly you can just decorate things really quick. Okay, back to this. I digress. And you cut across. So I have this. Now I put this over here. And you see, it's pretty good. It's a pretty foolproof way of getting those windows. So let me, again, glue. At least I don't have my glue problems that I had before. Of course, you're going to say it's because you have a new glue bottle. Yes. So you just quickly glue. And I'm hoping that I have enough memory so you can see this all the way through. This is not just a Christmas project. You can do this with any papers you wish. And this is why I'm doing this with autumn, because I'm working on autumn journal. And you can see how the distress ink around the edges covers that up. You can see I have my hinges ready here, and I'm gluing them right here. And there you go. And I have some paper already cut through the interest of magic of video. And you notice it's a little short. You're using up your scrap paper. You're using up envelopes, which is junk mail. You're using up scrap paper. This is the whole goal. So I'm going to go and look into my stash for something that will match. Maybe it'll be a piece of lace. Maybe I thought this would work right here. I don't know. I could move this down. You notice, because this is the advantage of liquid glue, is it's more forgiving. I think this is what I thought of doing. And I don't know. We'll go with that. And again, you're noticing all I have to do is trim. Like I said, I like to trim way after the fact. Now, this is going to be an insert, and you see how I went over, and it's easy to trim after you've glued them on here. So let me get rid of this. So here we have this wonderful window. It's an insert because I use the outside. What I'm going to do, much like what I did in my first one, so I hope I'm staying in frame, is I'm going to cut a piece up here, and I'm going to open that envelope right up here. And there you see it, it's open. And you notice all I did was cut it. In a perfect world, I'm going to say you should probably let the glue dry a little bit. But because of video. Now here's a tag. And it kind of looks kind of cool. You see how it has two different kinds of leaves. And I have some tags right here all ready to go. And then, I don't know, it needs something here at the bottom. Maybe I will, I don't know, let me switch this one out and put this one in. And then maybe I'll put something here. So as you can see, this is a tag with a window. This is the outside. This is the tag with the envelope portion. Now, let me show you what I mean by cutting it. So I'm going to cut a quarter off of this. Or I'm going to cut right on that little, I want that little trim left. You see. Now, you see how that little trim is there? So if I want, I could do it all the way around. So that way, if you want to send, or you can create yours. Now, doesn't that look cute? Doesn't that? And there's a tag, there's your card, here's a little booklet, and a jolly holiday. So that is as cute of looking as this one, wouldn't you agree? So we have this one. You can do this with any season, anything you wish. You can use these, and like I said, this is the outside, and it has a much bigger window. Let's see, where is my other one? And here is this one here. And all I have to, on this one is I need to get some more decorations on here, but this one also needs to be trimmed, just like I did. So I would, you know, make your cards. You can customize this. If you make your own cards, if you're a person that makes their own cards, you can think of an image and then get it into the center of this. And then you can, once you put your tags in, you see this peeking out. Doesn't it just beg for something right there? And it's cute. And then you put your tags in, which, let me see, do I have any more tags? No, I made a lot of these for this one, but not the red ones. I haven't really gotten out my Christmas material, to tell you the truth. This is just, I did some shopping at Tuesday morning. So this is my autumn one that you'll see in a journal. This is the one I just made with the envelope. This is the envelope. This is an insert. Both were made from a business reply, and this is the original one. You are only limited in regards to decorations to your own imagination. This would be fine. So, or if you have something, you know, go and cut it out. But again, this is a wonderful way of using your scraps and using, getting rid of junk mail.